Hi everyone, welcome to another video. So this video, as you can see in the title, is going to be a Sephora haul. I will do a video where I use some of the products that I got. I'll do like a video using all of them together, but that is, as you can tell, not this video. Now, to disclaim, I had set aside $350 for my Sephora sale budget because I did have a gift card I was sitting on, and I ended up, after the gift card and the 20% off, coming to about $275. So I spent under what I had allotted, but if the Sephora sale had started maybe 3 days later than it actually did, because I placed my order probably about 2 days before the sale ended. If they had moved it so that it had been 3 days forward and I had placed my sale 3 days later, I probably would have only maybe bought half the things I got in, or I may not have even participated at all, because I'm not even kidding, not even 36 hours after I placed my order, Jackson got pancreatitis. He really likes running up my vet bill whenever I least expect it, and so he did not have to go to the ER, but the amount of blood work that I had to do and the fact that he did have to stay at the vet all day did rack up a nice beautiful charge. I thought about canceling the order, or potentially well, it was too late to cancel at that point, but I thought about returning it when I got it, but I hate returning things unless I genuinely don't work for me, because I really don't like being wasteful. For me, it's kind of more like, you know, I placed this order, I made my bed, I'm gonna lie in it. I was already under my allotment, and so because of that situation, I have not bought any more makeup this month, which is saddening, I must admit, because I had planned on buying some Korean makeup. I planned on buying some Korean makeup from Beauty Box Korea. I had planned on finally getting the Wake Make palettes and a couple of other things, and there were like 1 or 2 indie purchases, and maybe like a Selfridges order would have been in the works, but anyways, I have not bought any more makeup this month. I will not be able to buy any more makeup this month. I will have to see what my makeup budget is looking like in May. With that out of the way, I'm going to talk about what I got at Sephora, and I'm going to start with the haul now. And you know, it's fine. It's fine. We do these things for our cats. He's 12. It's just something that you come to expect. I mean, it's not fine, but also it's fine because, you know, we do these things. I'll start with the small things, and then I'll work my way up to the big things. And I'm not necessarily saying small things as in cost less and big things as in cost more, because I have things across the whole spectrum of high-end to luxury. But I'm gonna go in order of the literal size of the object, because I have some small objects and then I have like a big palette, you know? So I'm gonna start with the small objects. So the first thing that I got that I'm very, very excited, I actually saw this drop on Selfridges a very long time ago, but it kind of flitted in and out of stock, and I really wasn't in a position where I could be buying this kind of stuff. So when it dropped on Sephora, the price versus Selfridges was honestly like the same, and then 20% off it was cheaper. With luxury makeup, it is worth, if you have Selfridges Plus, it is worth looking on Selfridges, because sometimes prices can be dramatically different. Like the new Phyto foundation from Sisley, for example, is over $100 in the USA, but if you were to go on Selfridges, it was $88, which is a massive difference. Now, I didn't end up getting that because Lexi Jong was like, oh, the formula's kind of finicky, so I was like, okay, I'll pass. But just for frame of reference, things can sometimes be dramatically cheaper on Selfridges than on Sephora, even with the 20% off, so it does pay to check. In this case, Sephora with 20% off was cheaper, so the first thing that I got was the GUERLAIN KissKiss Bee Glow Oil. I got it in this pink shade right here. I was looking at swatches, I was looking at lip swatches. These seem to be a little bit more pigmented than some of the DIOR ones, and I think you can tell definitely if you look at the transparency of the tube itself. I think you can really tell here. I think I'm gonna really like the GUERLAIN oil in this specific color a lot, because you can tell it's a little bit less sheer than the DIOR one. If I do like it, I may get more shades if I have the spare change for it. If I do end up, like if I really like this to the degree that I like the DIOR lip oils, then I will get more shades of this. But yeah, I had the bright pink and the bright orange both sitting in my cart, but I had to nuke one, so the orange one left, but hopefully I can get that someday. The next thing that I got lip-wise is going to be this. I saw this in a very random YouTube Shorts, and then I never saw it again, but that YouTube Shorts just lingered in my head and lived rent-free in my head until I discovered that it is actually being sold on Sephora. I thought it was maybe like an old Milk product that had been discontinued, but turns out it was just a new release that hadn't quite dropped everywhere yet. And this is the Odyssey Lip Oil Gloss in the shade Voyage. Sorry, takes me a while sometimes. And here's what it looks like. It is a blackened purple lip gloss. I'm so excited to try this. I've kind of low-key been on a mission to find these grungy, dark blackened lip products, and the biggest one that I think now that it's available in smaller refill sizes without the very design choice case, I think I am going to end up getting the Isamaya one in Vanity eventually, but in the meantime, there's nothing quite like spending more money than what Vanity costs on potential dupes, only to get Vanity eventually. Like, we all know this feeling. So this one, it looked so pretty in the video. I'm really eager to try this and just kind of see how I feel about it, especially ever since I started following Freya on Instagram, and she always has so many different grungy lip colors on, and I'm usually not one for those kinds of shades, but I think I've gotten more into it lately, so I'm excited to keep trying. The next thing I got were 3 eye primers, which I know sounds so ridiculous, but one of them was technically a refill. So here is my current Rare Beauty eye primer. I'm scraping the sides. It's kind of hard to tell, but I am, because of the frosted tube, but I am scraping the sides of this product, and it is starting to dry out just a little bit. I think I've had this for almost 2 years at this point, so I got a brand new one, and I'm excited about that. I do really like it. This started drying out my eyelids, but I couldn't tell if it was my eyelids being dry or if it was the eye primer getting old and drying out, so I got a new one. And then I was very highly recommended by multiple people to try for both my under eyes and my eyelids the Milk Hydro Grip eye primer. I actually tried it today with this Byredo palette that's on my eyes, so we'll see. I don't have any thoughts on it yet. It takes me a very long time to decide if I like an eye primer or not, but I got that. And I haven't tested it on my under eyes yet, so I'm looking forward to that too. Currently, on first impression, it reminds me a lot of the Suku one, but we'll see. We'll see. The third eye primer I got, I actually used to have this, and then I decluttered it and regretted it, and so I got it again because I distinctly remember this being one of the tackiest eye primers I've ever tried, and I thought it might be worth revisiting because back when I first got it, I found it was it gripped the eyeshadow so well that as a beginner, I was having a really, really hard time blending with it, but I think now that I'm a little bit better at using eyeshadow, like just a little bit better, I would like to try using it again, and it's no longer on the Ulta site. I guess maybe it's like, is it like on its way to being discontinued? Like, I sure hope they're not giving me like old ass product. I mean, I guess we'll see, but I got the Fenty Beauty eye primer. I do remember having issues with this when I first got it that, looking back, I think were more because of the fact that I wasn't good at using eyeshadow yet, so I would like to try using it again. So I will be eager to use this and re-add this to my routine. Now we're moving on to the slightly more fun stuff. The first thing that I got, I'm going to talk about the blushes first. I got 2 blushes. I really would have loved to get way more blushes than I did, but I think I have enough blushes. Like, is it just me or do I maybe have enough blushes? Like, maybe. Just a little bit. My blush collection at this point is monstrous, and I love it. I love my blush collection, but I was like, you know, I don't think I need to be buying more than 1 or 2 blushes in this current sale and the current situation. Like, for right now, you know, not putting a damper on it for later because I like blush, but for the Sephora sale, I was like, okay, I really need to limit myself to 1 or 2, and obviously for like money reasons anyways, I didn't want my cart to just like explode, which is what it does. My cart always explodes, and then I have to like very painstakingly trim it back down. So the first thing I got was the HAUS Labs. This is the shade of blush I missed the first time around, Hibiscus Haze. By the time I got on the train of the other shades and realized how good they were, Hibiscus Haze was Hibiscus Haze was gone from the website, like deleted, vanquished, eliminated. And so when she finally relaunched these blushes in the teeny tiny size for only $6 less, but for half the amount of product, which is why I severely question if buying more is a good idea, because I don't know if I should be supporting such practices, but I knew I needed to at least get my hands on Hibiscus Haze because that was, for me, the shade that got away. So I do really, really like the new color packaging, and I do low-key wish I could put that on my current blush packages, because I have the old silver ones, but needless to say, I do really like it. It's quite cute, and this shade I think I'm going to definitely look forward to using. So I'm just glad I have like the OG range now. I do really like the 2 new shades as well, especially the rosier one, but we'll see, because the shrink, like, there's to an extent, it's very hard to avoid shrinkflation right now. Because, I mean, things you need, like, oh, I don't know, food, are being shrinkflated, and you can't just not buy food. But with makeup, I feel like there should be a limit to how much shrinkflation we are accepting, and this was pretty egregious. This was pretty bold of them, I'm not gonna lie, okay? Like, NARS did this too, by the way. They recently reformulated the blushes, and the product difference for the price increase, yeah, bold decision. Okay, the next thing I got was from Patrick Ta. I do really like his cream blush duos, and the reason I never got them is because the 3 that he had available are the 3 that are in his holiday blush palette, which I have, so it was like a complete redundancy to get those. But then he released more and they were a little bit less pigmented, like not less pigmented, okay, they're pigmented, but they're like lighter in color, so they're for people who found the original 3 to be a little bit too much. And the shade names are perfect. They definitely are very much to the mood of, oh, you thought the other 3 were a little bit too intense, a little bit too much, these 3 might be better for you. And I would have loved to get all 3, but I actually, turns out, I was already lucky enough to even be able to get 1 at the end of the sale, because apparently at the very beginning of the sale I did see these sell out, and over the course of the sale I saw all 3 of them just flash in and out and in and out of stock. So by the time that I placed my order, this was in stock, so I got it, and not even like a minute later it was gone again. So I do consider myself lucky enough to have gotten 1. And if I like it, if I use it, I can see myself getting the other 2 during the next Sephora sale. He made no mention of these being limited edition, so I'm not in any hurry to get my hands on these. It's not like I'm a YouTuber who can review and swatch things on release day and get views and make this my job or anything like that, so I'm not really in any kind of time pressure. The shade that I got is the shade Just Enough. I always have to I have muscle memory for Tom Ford. Tom Ford always opens without the end, but Patrick Ta opens with the lip, and I always get mixed up, so it opens with the lip. Okay, so here is the shade Just Enough. Very, very beautiful. I definitely will be using this soon, and you know, especially for those of you who have lighter skin, paler skin, I think you will definitely find the new range of shades to be a little bit more palatable. Me, I liked the original 3, I like the new 3, I like blush. I always put too much blush on my face, that's just the thing I do because I like blush, so. Okay, and now we're moving on to my palettes. I got 3 palettes, which, considering how eyeshadow palettes aren't really trendy at the moment, that's a lot more palettes than I think I should have been getting. Like, probably 3 more than I should have gotten. Hear me out, okay. So the first one I got is one I've actually been wanting to get for months, but it actually had been sold out in this shade for a very long time. It came back in stock just before the Sephora sale, which was very fortuitous timing for me. Now here's the thing. When I see somebody like Morgan Turner say they like something, I'm like, cool, okay, I'll keep it on my radar. I won't discount it completely, but I'm not necessarily convinced because she likes a lot of things, but she also receives a lot of things in PR, so it's very hard, I think, for when you receive things in PR, it doesn't matter how objective you try to be, you did not have to spend money on it, it is going to introduce bias into your review, versus if you bought it yourself. Like, I think this is just one of those unavoidable parts of humanity, like, it's just how our brains work. When Jen Phelps said she bought it and she loved it, I was like, okay, well that's 2 positive reviews from people I generally trust, review-wise, and I saw it in Sephora and I swatched it and I liked it. I think I'm gonna get it. This was a very informed decision. I have no regrets whatsoever, and it's actually legit squishy, which is so much fun. This is the Couture Clutch Quad in the shade 100, and it is absolutely beautiful, and I cannot wait to use this. Literally the most boring, redundant quad on the planet. I did not need another quad with these shades, but I wanted it, so. And here's the thing, I'm usually one to completely poo-poo luxury shades from luxury brands that usually are more well known for like their bags, their clothes, their perfumes. Like YSL is, I like YSL's bags and shoes, and so for them, they fall under that class of makeup where I generally stay as far away from their eyeshadows as possible. So this is my first time buying YSL shadow, aside from the like taupe single shadow, which I have and also really like. So this is like my first time getting an eyeshadow palette from them. So, and I'm shocked. Like I'm shocked so far at how many positive reviews this has gotten, because usually luxury shadows kind of suck. But hey, I'm always one to be proven wrong. The next palette I got, I had been deliberating on this back and forth for weeks. Like I really had. When I first saw Lena Lure's swatches, I about felt like I was gonna like just pass away. It was so beautiful. And then I saw some other reviews and some other swatches that made it look a little bit less impressive, and I was like, well, I don't need it, and so I tried to cast it from my mind. And then I swatched it for myself multiple times. Like every time I saw it at Sephora, I'd swatch it and I'd think about it, and it wasn't leaving my head, so it's in my house now. And this is the DIOR Backstage Palette in Smoky Essentials 002. Now, I have never actually used a DIOR shadow before. I've had quints that have caught my eye, but I never ended up pulling the trigger. The Celestial Holiday Collection from a couple years back was the one that I was going to buy, but I didn't have any more holiday makeup budget, so it just never happened. And it's such a long gone collection by now, I highly doubt it would still be available even if I wanted it to be. So this is going to be my first time trying DIOR shadows, and now this is going to be their Backstage shadows. It's not going to be like the DIOR shadows, so it's a little bit, I've heard the formulas are different. It's like the jury's out on whether the Backstage line is better or the DIOR line is better. I feel like it tends to flip-flop because the main quints can be so hit or miss. Having never used them, I wouldn't know. So again, not necessarily the most unique color scheme in the world, but here's what it looks like. It's a lot more plum. And I just, especially when I swatched this shade right here, I just was like, okay, I think I'm convinced. It just was really, really pretty, and swatching it, the shadows felt nice, so I am feeling hopeful. Okay, I got one more thing, and this is the biggest thing. I am finally going to be trying a Groundworks palette from DANESSA MYRICKS. Yay! I'm so excited for this. I did really like the idea of the original Groundworks, but you know, I'm not a review channel, so I'm not just buying things to film with and get views for. I also buy things that I myself legitimately think I'll like. And when it comes to neutral palettes, it can't just be pretty neutrals to convince me. Like, there has to be something else. Like with this one, the formula really got me, and the shimmer formula in here specifically is very, very pretty. The Tom Ford eye color quads I have in the creme formula, prior to the reformulation anyways, was very unique, and I liked it a lot, and it worked really well for my dry eyelids. So the Groundworks palette, I was kind of intimidated by the fact that they're like pomades. I just didn't really know how I would use them, and I was watching videos to see what kind of consistency the pomades were, and I just felt like I didn't really get it. So I passed, and that's completely fine. So when the Blooming Romance Groundworks came around, I again watched it much more closely, and then I was really happy to see that Alicia Archer, aka previously known as Kinky Sweat, uploaded a video where she did a really deep dive into the formula, her favorite brushes, and she discussed in very great detail the finishes of the pomades and the powders. And I thought that was a really helpful resource. I was really glad that she uploaded something like that, so I watched the whole thing through. I studied as hard as I could because apparently I'm Asian, and I decided to go for it. So I'm very excited to try this. This is going to be, and you know, I'm really into, I love these kinds of pinky tones, so I'm really into it. So we'll see. It seemed to me like they're not really emollient pomades. It seems like they're more of like a natural slash satin slash matte finish, which for me, when it comes to creams, I do tend to prefer because I find that the super dewy stuff just eats my foundation. So I'm definitely looking forward to this, and at the very least, you know, I have heard the powders are good. But yeah, okay, that's what I got. That is my, I've been jokingly referring to this as my cursed Sephora haul because I swear getting this was the trigger for Jackson. He was like, oh, so you just spent a lot of money on Sephora. Okay, watch this. Like, I swear that's what happened. Let me know if you have any thoughts. If there are any products in this that I got that you have used, definitely let me know your experience with using them, or if there's any like tips or how you like to use them, feel free to let me know. I don't really have much else to say. I am wearing Byredo Mineralscapes on my eyes, so that did not come from Sephora. That came from Selfridges. Okay, I hope to catch you guys in the next video. Until then, please do take care. Better than me anyways. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.